to the Dawgs podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs podcast. Josh all alone with you guys on a Tuesday morning, coming to you as a national champion. Ohio State took care of business last night in the college football national championship game, beat Notre Dame. It was 31-7 at one point, and then out of nowhere, Ohio State took their foot off the gas, and the momentum shifted. And of course, the Marcus Freeman Notre Dame team is not going to roll over and just die. And they made it a game, got it close, but Ohio State holds strong, comes out victorious in the end. I mean, obviously, I've been a Buckeyes fan my whole life. I went to Ohio State, graduated from there. It's in my blood. I love me the Buckeyes, and I know not everybody who watches this show is a Buckeyes fan, so I'm not going to dwell on it too long. But even if you're not a fan of either team last night, it ended up being a good game to watch. The first half, not so much if you wanted a close-fought game, but the second half definitely got there. So it spurred some things, you know, in terms of draft talk for the Browns and just the NFL in general. We're going to do, or at least the plan right now, me, Blake, maybe Justin, depending on his babysitting situation tomorrow night. We're planning to do a live episode on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and we'll be talking about some things. We got a great voicemail from a guy talking about Will Howard as a quarterback option for the Browns, things like that. We'll dive into it tomorrow night, but today on this episode, I wanted to talk to you guys for however long this ends up going. I started to do some film breakdown, started to watch some tape, some games on the quarterback prospects for the Browns, because this is the first time we've gotten to do this in the offseason, look at prospects for the Browns, even in the first round, because the last time the Browns picked in the first round was Greg Newsome. Obviously, we were doing the podcast back then, but we've never had the opportunity to really break down quarterback film. Because when we started doing the podcast, we had Baker Mayfield for 2 years, and then the next 3 years was Deshaun Watson. And we've never had a first-round pick or a need at quarterback with those two things together to really break down any quarterback film in great detail. So this year's a lot more exciting in that regard. And I've been talking about it. I've been saying it for weeks now. We're going to start looking at tape. We're going to start looking at these games, breaking down these prospects and things like that. And full disclosure here, obviously, I'm not sitting around watching every single game for each of these quarterbacks. There's just not enough time in a busy lifestyle to do that kind of thing. But the games I have watched so far, I've come away with some pretty interesting thoughts and notes, and I want to put them out here for you guys. Obviously, go into the comments on YouTube or Facebook or Spotify, wherever you're watching, listening, and let's have a conversation about what I'm going to present here today. More full disclosure, I just started this. Okay, so this is the first quarterback prospect I've even started diving into, started breaking down, watching the tape, and it is Cam Ward from the University of Miami, Florida. I have not broken down any Shedeur Sanders film. Obviously, I know people want to talk about Will Howard. I've watched every Will Howard snap this season for Ohio State, of course, so we can talk about that in a future episode. We'll talk about it a little bit more tomorrow night. But today, the primary focus is Cam Ward. Before I dive into Cam Ward, please, real quick, if you're on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel, tap the notification bell. We're going to be doing these prospect profiles all off season and diving into a lot of free agency and draft talk for the Browns on these little mini solo episodes. And again, the new Facebook dog pack is up and running, and it's a lot of fun. We've got people already in there, so make sure if you're on Facebook, it's just 99 cents a month. Just subscribe to the Facebook page. That helps us out a lot, and it's just a more tight-knit, interactive group outside of the rest of just the normal comments there on the Facebook page. So make sure you dive into that. And if you want to join the full dog pack, it's jointhedawgs.com. Become an official dog pack member on the Patreon page. Sync it up with a private Discord. 24/7 conversations this entire offseason. You don't want to miss it. All right. Cam Ward. Before I dive into this quarterback prospect, I want to say that throughout the college football season, heading into the end of the NFL season, whenever draft orders started shaking out, we started seeing who's in the top 10 and that kind of stuff. We found out, hey, Browns are going to be in the top 5 probably, and then we end up with 2. The common consensus among a lot of people, and whether it's based in anything or not, the common consensus seemed to be this is a weak quarterback class. I've heard a lot of, well, there's a clear top 2, and even those top 2 wouldn't be in the top 5 or 6 of last year's class, and that kind of stuff. And again, I have not started going into Shedeur Sanders' tape and film, so I cannot speak to him as of yet. I've got a baby coming. If everything goes according to plan, he will be here on Thursday next week. So that means I'm going to have quite a bit of time laying on the couch, rocking a baby, and probably watching film on the TV. So I will be doing Sanders' film review and stuff during that time period. But right now, I'm going through Cam Ward. And what I've come away with so far is that there is absolutely a clear top quarterback, in my opinion. And again, it's the only one I've looked at so far in this draft class. But if you are sitting at the top of the draft and you need a quarterback for your team in the NFL, you 100% are taking Cam Ward. Cam Ward, in my opinion, is 100% worthy of the number 1 pick. The Titans should draft Cam Ward. They shouldn't entertain trades. They shouldn't do anything except for draft Cam Ward. That's how I feel right now on what is today, January 21st. Obviously, things are going to change. So if anybody wants to come back to this video in 2 months and say, well, you said that Cam Ward, and now you're saying, guys, it's going to change. But as of right now, my feelings, my thoughts, opinions on Cam Ward after watching some of his games and doing some reading and stat research on him, if the Browns had the number 1 pick, I would be advocating heavily for the Browns to take Cam Ward. And I'm sitting here pick number 2 thinking, okay, maybe the Titans take Shedeur and the Browns get Cam Ward. I really would like Cam Ward here on January 21st. So let's break it down. I've got a bunch of notes, bunch of stats. And again, I was just kind of taking notes as I was watching games and stuff. And I never really went back and reorganized this. So if I'm a little jumbled and out of order, bear with me. Again, this won't be the only episode we ever do talking about Cam Ward or these quarterbacks. So we're going to talk about this stuff more and more as the offseason progresses here. But Cam Ward, overall in 2024, he had the best PFF passer grade in the entire country. He had a 92.6 grade on offense, 91.4 passing grade, 67.2% completion percentage, 76.3 adjusted completion percentage, 4,313 yards, 39 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. The 4,313 yards were the second most yards in the country, and he had the most touchdowns, 39, in the entire country. Shedeur was second with touchdowns, and he had 37. Now, Cam Ward's receivers had 20 drops, and that's why I like to throw the adjusted completion percentage into these stats, because the drops factor into the actual completion percentage, which are not on the quarterback. Those are on the receivers. Cam Ward had 30 big-time throws. That was the second most in college football. He had a 6.1% big-time throw rate. That was 6th overall. In terms of turning the ball over, 18 turnover-worthy plays. That was tied for the 16th most in the nation. 3.3% turnover-worthy play rate, about middle of the pack. It was tied for 48th highest. So it's not like he was leading the country in turnover-worthy plays, but he also wasn't the lowest in that. He was kind of right in the middle. 9.8 ADOT, which is pretty nice. I do know that Shedeur Sanders had a pretty low ADOT. And for your quarterback, you do want to see him going down the field a little bit more on those averages. He only had 4 batted balls the entire season. So that one thing for me was great to see for a quarterback who he's not 6'4" or taller. He's like 6'2", 6'1.5", 225. He is not a small quarterback. I know whenever I say that, there's a lot of old school mindset of, oh, my quarterback needs to be 6'4", 6'5". These are not the days anymore of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, these super tall quarterbacks. You've got smaller, I shouldn't say smaller, you've got shorter stature quarterbacks like your Bo Nix and, Caleb Williams was only like 6'4", foot, 6'1" maybe. So these quarterbacks nowadays, the super tall height is not necessarily that big of a deal. But in terms of his build, he is built like a quarterback. He's built like an NFL quarterback. You watch the tape, and he looks the part of what a modern day NFL passer looks like. And that was good to see right there. He took 23 sacks on the season, 15.9% pressure to sack rate. That was about middle of the pack. I do know when I talk about Shedeur Sanders, there are some things about Shedeur I do know just from the stats, and he took 40 sacks, most of any quarterback in 2024. So both guys, we'll talk about this here. The time to throw for Cam Ward, 2.93. Shedeur is at 3. Both guys hold onto the ball for a long time. It's not because they don't know where they're going with the ball. It's not because they can't read the defense. It's because they are constantly keeping their eyes downfield. They're extending plays. They're navigating the pocket. They're moving things around, just trying to extend and make a play down the field. And one thing I noticed with Cam Ward is, and I read this about him in some places, and I do agree, he likes to play hero ball. And I'm not saying that is a bad thing, because obviously you look at some of these NFL teams, what are the good quarterbacks? Josh Allen is able to go out there and play hero ball. He's able to go out there and say, I'm taking over the game. I'm making the plays. And they win games that way. And the thing with Cam Ward, and this is college football, and it's much easier to do that. And it's much easier to look at your teammates and say, yeah, I'm the best player out here. I'm taking over the game and I'm going to play hero ball. Whereas in the NFL, there's certain situations late in the fourth quarter when you're down a score or whatever, where you need that, but you don't need it from quarter one kickoff. And I think that's just one thing that Cam Ward's going to need to work on, honing in, dialing back, taking what the defense gives him more often than just trying to come up with the big play down the field, which he was able to do pretty consistently in college. So I'm going to go through a bunch of stuff here. Again, bear with me. I am going to be a little all over the place, but there are going to be pros. There are going to be cons with Cam Ward, just like with every prospect at any position coming out, but especially the quarterback position. And I'll get to a point here later on where I talk about some pros and cons, but there are just understand this as we go through. There are certain things that a quarterback can learn or unlearn at the next level, but there are certain things that you cannot teach quarterbacks ever. And we'll get to that here in a little bit. I talked about the time to throw. Cam Ward had 119.3 passer rating. That was the third highest in the nation. Here's a nice stat. Cam Ward has 0 penalties in 2024. That means he had no delay of game penalties called, no intentional groundings. There were very few quarterbacks as I went through that actually had the number of snaps that he took and also had 0 penalties. Like, for example, Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, each had 7 penalties in 2024. So not that that's a huge, hey, we got to draft this guy because of this stat, but just something interesting I saw that I thought, okay, that's good to see. When comparing just the stats, and again, I'll get into the film breakdown here in a little bit, but Shedeur Sanders had over 50 more dropbacks under pressure than Cam Ward did. The biggest difference for me was that Cam Ward had a significantly higher turnover-worthy play rate than Shedeur Sanders went under pressure, but Shedeur took those 40 sacks, like I said, when he was under pressure, all of them under pressure, Cam Ward being sacked 23 times under pressure. Both players, when they're under pressure, their time to throw is over 4 seconds. Again, moving around the pocket, extending plays. But funny enough, it was Shedeur Sanders who's not touted as being like a scrambling quarterback, but he had more scrambles from pressure plays than Cam Ward actually did. So we'll talk about a little bit more of Cam Ward's running ability in a little bit. So some things about Cam Ward that I've noticed watching the tape. And again, I want to hear what everybody's opinions are, but I implore you to just watch some film yourselves. And I know that highlight reels are cool, low light reels, whatever, that kind of stuff. You can watch other people break down some plays and some film and stuff. But I implore you to do it yourself. Just pull up a couple Miami games. I've been watching on YouTube TV, the replay of the games, and I just skip through all the defense for Miami. As soon as Miami's back on offense, I watch those series. And it takes me, half hour or so to get through a full game, maybe a little less, and then I can move on to the next game. But these are things that I've actually come away with watching Cam Ward. He has a strong arm. Now, you'll hear people talk about it's not a Josh Allen cannon, but it's an NFL caliber arm. He can rip passes into receivers. He throws darts. He does tend to dance around a little too much behind the line, and when the pressure comes, he tends to drift backward. And there are things that I've seen with him whenever there's pressure, whenever he's trying to extend plays, that remind me so much of, I'm going to throw one name out there that you're not going to like to hear because it's got a really bad taste in your mouth. And then I'm going to throw another name out there that you're probably not a fan of, but at the same time, you're going to say, okay, that's cool. He's got shades of Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson behind the line of scrimmage. Whenever he's extending plays, you guys know what I'm talking about, especially, Browns fans, you watch the Ravens play. You see when Lamar drops back and he almost just stands there and he's looking. And then he'll make a move. He'll run a little bit this way, get away from the pressure. And then he's got like a full second or so to just stand there and look and wait. And then he drops back a little more and he's looking and waiting. And that's kind of what I'm seeing with Cam Ward. The way that he is able to, he'll step up, he'll get pressure from like his right side, he'll spin out and come around his lineman, around the pressure off to the left, and then all of a sudden he's got himself like a brand new pocket. That kind of stuff is what vintage Deshaun Watson did in Houston, and the stuff that we loved about Deshaun Watson whenever he played in Houston, when the Browns traded for him, and what we thought we were going to get from him from an athletic standpoint, that's what I see with Cam Ward. Cam Ward has a nice mix of what those two can do behind the line, extending plays, looking downfield to make a throw. And it does lead to some sacks. It leads to some throwaway passes and that kind of thing. But it also leads to big plays and opportunities where a play looks dead, and all of a sudden, they've got a new set of downs because he made a play. This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, D-A-W-G-S, for 10% off your order. And that code can be used over and over, so you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS. I put in here, he's probably going to get sacked quite a bit in the NFL, especially as a rookie, if he starts from day one. Cam Ward is definitely somebody that, if the Browns were to select Cam Ward, I would definitely want to see whatever veteran they sign, whether it's Cousins, Carr. I'm kind of coming onto the idea, we'll talk about it tomorrow, of Geno Smith, especially if you're going to take like a Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. I think a Geno Smith might be a nice one-year bridge quarterback to help that guy along. And that's what I could see with Cam Ward. I think it would be really nice if a veteran like Geno Smith could come in here and play for the first half of the season, and then if we're in the playoff mix, continue to play. But if things go wrong, it's not going our way, it doesn't look like we're making the playoffs, pull an Atlanta Falcons and, sit the veteran and let the rookie get the last like 3 games or so to just get a little experience. But we can talk more about that later. Cam Ward, eyes always downfield, does have nice ability, like I mentioned, to create space in the pocket to go through his progressions. And that's the thing. He's going through his progressions. And I've seen some people, and I know there's a lot of trolls and haters and stuff on social media, so I take everything with a grain of salt. And a lot of the hate on Cam Ward, people say, well, he can't read a defense, blah, all this kind of stuff. Every game I've watched, Cam Ward is a field general behind the line of scrimmage. Like he walks up to the line, he looks at the defense, he's calling out protections and reads and lining guys up and making audibles and all kinds of things before the snap. He's a very smart quarterback. And I really do believe that is one of those intangible, can't teach him type of traits that is going to help him so much in the NFL. He's an extremely smart quarterback, in my opinion. I put in here, said this already, but he needs to take what the defense gives him. He has a tendency to dance around, fall backward, and he ends up just chucking balls out of bounds sometimes. Again, we see that even in the NFL with guys like Lamar and things like that. So it's going to happen. I said definitely see a little Deshaun Watson, Clemson and Houston Deshaun Watson in his game. He definitely throws with multiple arm angles. The arm angles, the way this guy throws the ball sometimes. When we watch players like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and the way that they can sidearm some balls and the way that they throw around defenders instead of, always over the top. Wow. Cam Ward's got it. Cam Ward has got it, man. I listened, and I'm going to talk about here because I did watch a prospect breakdown from Todd McShay, and I'll mention it later too, but he said that so many times Cam Ward throws the ball like a shortstop turning two. Like he gets the snap, and just the way that he can flick his wrist, sidearm, 3/4, 3/4 angle, whatever you want to call some of these throws, and they're just on point. And it is really beautiful to watch. He throws the ball so nice. He's got the athleticism, and he is fun to watch. McShay talked about him like an electric storm, where it's just, it happens and it's fun to see. And as soon as it's over, you're like, what was that? Go watch some games and tell me you guys if you guys feel differently. This was good. I was watching a game and the announcers were talking about Miami's coaches and what they were telling the commentators, prior to the game and everything when they were doing their game prep. And the coaches told them Cam Ward's an elite leader, has a great understanding of defenses, and he's able to communicate what he sees effectively to his teammates before the snap. I saw that. You see him out there, and he is telling guys what to do, where to be, where to line up, what we're doing on this play, because there's a lot of times that, you see college quarterbacks come up to the line. They might make a read or two. They're probably not calling out a bunch of different protections and changing things and adjusting things at the line, but Cam Ward, and I've heard this from a lot of these broadcasters during the games and stuff, like this was his first year at Miami, the first year in this offense. And he's now been in 3 different college programs. I didn't mention that at the top, but we'll get into a little more backstory on him. But this is a 0-star recruit who went to some tiny little, was it a community college, a little college, Incarnate Word? And I think was it in Texas? I'd have to look again. I'll pull that up. But either way, some tiny little college, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but Todd McShay said that he went back and watched some highlights from Cam Ward at Incarnate Word. And this is before he went to Washington State, before he went to Miami. And those first 2 years in college, he said he was like an air raid quarterback. He would catch the ball, wouldn't even find the laces. It was a snap throw, short little dunk passes on screens and bubbles and things like that. And that was pretty much the offense they ran. And he said the way that Cam Ward was able to develop and improve his game, and he's got such an ability to master an offense. And I think that's what's key for me for the Browns. Cam Ward can come in to any team, in my opinion, whatever offense it is. I don't care if it's a, spread it out shotgun air raid type of offense, or if it's a Kevin Stefanski wide zone play action under center. Cam Ward's going to figure it out. Cam Ward's going to learn it. He's going to learn it quickly. And then he is going to master it. And that's one thing that they talked about was he doesn't just learn the offense and understand it. He masters it. He masters it to the point where he can go up, like I've been talking about, go up to the line, call out protections, change the plays, change the routes, audible, things like this because of what he's seeing from the defense. He's got a great understanding of defenses, and I know I'm kind of rambling here now, but I can't reiterate enough that I really do feel like this guy is a high football IQ player. And that intrigues me a ton. So I guess I kind of mentioned this. I've heard people say in my notes here, Blake has said this too on the show, hiring Tommy Rees at offensive coordinator, letting Kevin have the offense back means we're probably out on Cam Ward. He wouldn't fit Kevin's offense, blah, blah, blah. It'd be more Shedeur Sanders, all that kind of stuff. And then I put in here, how the hell do we possibly know that? And I just went through it all, but 3 different college programs he's learned, and he's dominated all these different offenses throughout college. His football IQ, his ability to learn and master offenses, communicate everything to his teammates. Why couldn't he do that with Kevin? I really think that no matter where this guy goes, as long as he's got a good coaching staff who can put him in situations early on to succeed and help him along, because it doesn't matter how smart you are or how good at football you are. We've seen some good college quarterbacks come to the NFL and get totally wrecked because they get with an incompetent coaching staff. And despite the 3-14 season that we just came off of and the terrible showing by our offense and everything, I still believe Kevin Stefanski is a good coach. We have seen him get the most out of every quarterback he's ever had, except for one. Okay, except for one. And it turns out that one did not have much interest in learning his offense. But anybody who comes in here, into Cleveland, into Kevin's offense, and is willing to learn it, has excelled. At least in terms of that player. I mean, did P.J. Walker excel in Kevin's offense? Yeah, for P.J. Walker, he excelled. Was it great? No, but it was great by P.J. Walker standards because he's never played that well before. So I think that, honestly, whatever quarterback the Browns draft already has a leg up on maybe some other landing spots just because I do believe in Kevin Stefanski. And to this point, I don't have any reason not to believe in Tommy Rees. Highly touted. He's gotten so much praise from so many high-level coaches. Nick Saban, there were, people in the NFL talking about him as offensive coordinator, maybe a future head coach one day. I mean, already these things are being said about Tommy Rees. So, again, I'm not going to go all Hypeville on it, but I also don't have any reason to doubt it at this point. So moving on here to the Todd McShay video that I watched. He talked about 3 different quarterbacks and not necessarily comparing them, one-to-one with Cam Ward, but 3 quarterbacks in some different scenarios coming out of college into the NFL that had just unreal natural abilities, just the things that you cannot teach a quarterback to do, these 3 players had. But each of these 3 players also had what he called a laundry list of concerns about their game translating to the NFL. You can fix bad habits, but like I said earlier in the show, you cannot just magically generate elite upside traits. You either have them or you don't. And in my opinion, Ward has them. So those 3 quarterbacks that McShay talked about with the laundry list of concerns, are these guys going to work in the NFL? Man, their upside is super high, but the floor could bottom out if they don't fix a lot of these bad tendencies. And those 3 quarterbacks are Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. And when I watch Cam Ward, I'm not saying, wow, I see Josh Allen. Wow, I see Patrick Mahomes. Wow, I see Lamar Jackson. No, that's not what I'm saying. When I watch Cam Ward, I'm saying, wow, I see another player who's got sky's the limit traits, sky's the limit ceiling to what he could be in the NFL. He also has a bunch of things that are a little concerning about his game. That's going to need fixed. He's got to work on that. He's got to correct this. But so did those guys. And to me, that was worthy of a top pick for Cam Ward. Because if you get the right coaches in there, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, one thing that Todd McShay talked about, this one kind of had me chuckling a little bit. He said that Cam Ward, when I watch Cam Ward, he can have pretty sloppy footwork at times. And that's true. He does. There's some times where it's like, man, the footwork he just doesn't have the mechanics down for certain things. And then McShay said, go back and look at Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech. his footwork was downright disgusting at times. And he talked about that. And he said he's even talked with Patrick since then, like, hey, man, I remember doing prospect videos and stuff on you and research and saying this guy's footwork is horrible. And Patrick just kind of laughed and said, yeah, I had to fix that when I got in the NFL. And that's the kind of stuff that I believe Cam Ward would be able to do with his football IQ. You don't go from incarnate word all the way to Heisman Trophy finalist in Miami and leading your team to almost the college football playoff and all that kinds of stuff if you're not completely dedicated to your craft. You have got to be dedicated and determined to improve, to get better, to constantly hone your game. And those are the things that, for me, are going to translate to the NFL positively for Cam Ward. Yeah, sure, his footwork might be a little sloppy. Yeah, sure, he might throw off platform a little bit too much here and there. Yeah, there was a play yesterday I was watching where he was scrambling around trying to extend the play to the sideline, turned around, chucked it back across his body into the middle of the field, got picked off, and the guy only had 7 interceptions on the season, and that was one of them. And I'm like, well, all you got to do right there is throw the ball out of bounds, and now you're down even one more pick for the season. Those kinds of things can be fixed at the NFL level. But his ability to read the defense, his ability to rip the ball accurately into his receivers from multiple different arm angles and on the run and all these kinds of things, you can't teach that. Those aren't things that are just going to magically develop. You either have them or you don't, and this dude has got them. But we'll go back to what Todd McShay was breaking down now about Cam Ward. He said, football instincts, elite. Elite football instincts. He knows where his receiver is going. He throws his guys open, and he leads his receivers into windows that he sees. Whether or not his receiver is going to a spot, if he sees where, hey, this is going to be open in this spot, he'll throw his receiver to that spot for completion. He also got quotes from coaches and teammates. They all said, insane football intelligence, demands greatness from his teammates. He has ice in his veins. That's another thing I want to talk about. Never crumbles under pressure, always calm and focused. That, to me, is one of the biggest intangibles that I want to see at the NFL level. When he gets pressure from the defense, he doesn't panic. There's no Baker Mayfield happy feet. There's no Deshaun Watson scrambling, running into the back of his lineman because he's freaked out. Cam Ward can navigate that pocket, and he does so in a very calm way. It never looks like he's worried he's going to get sacked. It just looks like, oh, space is closing in here. Let me get out and find another spot. Keep looking downfield. He is very calm and collected on the field. And in moments where the team was losing, because one thing about Miami, their offense was like best in the league or best in the country in 2024, at least for most of the season, if not all of it. Defense wasn't that great. I mean, they couldn't stop a nosebleed at times, and Cam Ward just had to continue to lead his team down and make plays. And there were times where it looked like, ooh, Miami might be in trouble here. And then it would be a 1 or 2 play drive to respond where Cam Ward just, under the pressure of the game and everything, just steps into a throw and throws a touchdown. He's got it. I think he really does have it. Let's see. More notes from Todd McShay. Again, needs to take what defense gives him some more. Talked about the sloppy footwork at times. He's got good accuracy even with the footwork that needs fixed. So if he gets that fixed, this is what McShay was saying, even with the sloppy footwork, his accuracy is really, really good. So if he gets his footwork fixed in the NFL, the sky's the limit for this guy. He leaves way too many intermediate throws because he's off target looking for the hero shot, and he's not giving his footwork an opportunity to get correct on these intermediate throws. He's kind of throwing it last second because he was looking deep, and then he's trying to dial back at the last second. They said, didn't face the toppest level defenses in the country. He does have a tendency to drift. Opinions on Cam Ward range, and this McShay was talking to different scouts and GMs in the league. Some people say I've got a second round grade on him. Other people say he's the number 1 pick. The opinions on this guy, and that's why there's going to be so much debate and discussion, and I'm sure some of it's going to get nasty and heated and stupid because everything online does. But in my opinion, I lean toward this guy's the number 1 pick side of things. What I saw on tape, man, I was impressed. Obviously, like I keep saying, plenty of things to work on. So many things to work on, but also so many things that can easily translate to being not just a good NFL quarterback, but one of the best. This episode is brought to you by Buckeyes and Sports. Browns fans, Buckeyes Sports is your one-stop shop for all your athletic gear. Buckeyes started out perfecting and manufacturing the best balls in the business. Yeah, if that sounded dirty, that's more about your mind than my words. But hey, it's true. Baseballs, softballs, footballs, basketballs, volleyballs, soccer balls, you name it, and Buckeyes has engineered the highest standard sports balls available. And now they offer more than just sports balls. If you got kids playing baseball or softball, Buckeyes has batting gloves and bats to go along with both game balls and training balls. If you're into basketball, Buckeyes makes basketball specifically for indoor or outdoor use. Heck, Buckeyes even has all the equipment you need for pickleball, which is one sport that I hear everyone is playing and yet I still never have. And I need to fix that soon. But don't miss the backyard games section of Buckeyes' website where you can order everything you need for this upcoming outdoor season. Pool balls, backyard volleyball nets, croquet, bocce, horseshoes, cornhole, and more. Right now, you can get 10% off your entire order at Buckeyes Sports, BADEN Sports.com/Dawgs, DAWGS, and use promo code Dawgs when you check out. That's 10% off all the top quality sporting gear you need this season. Buckeyes Sports.com/Dawgs. So let's see. I put in my notes, you can't sit in 1 year. And this is for all you Browns fans out there that are saying trade back and collect picks and take quarterback next year, all that kind of stuff. You can't sit in 1 year and project a whole scenario into the next calendar year with football. Things change way too much. So you can't sit here in 2025, say, pass on quarterback, trade back, get draft picks, take Arch Manning next year in 2026. I've seen that from so many people, guys. First off, unless you want to go 3-14 yet again, you won't get a high enough pick for a quarterback in 2026, okay, to even get the top guy or one of the top 2 or 3 guys. Next thing, how do we even know that Arch Manning is going to be that good? I mean, a year ago now, nobody even knew who Cam Ward was. And now he's the top guy in this draft class. Same for most seasons. I mean, Joe Burrow, nobody knew who Joe Burrow was until he took over LSU in that final season. Then he became the number 1 overall pick. A year ago now, nobody had Jaden Daniels as a top pick in the 2023 draft, or in 2023. I'm sorry, 2 years ago is what I'm trying to say. Before the 2023 season, nobody had Jaden Daniels as going number 2 overall in the draft. But after that college football season heading into the draft, all of a sudden he becomes one of the top quarterback prospects in the class. It was always Caleb Williams and Drake May. Nobody really talked about Jaden Daniels, and all of a sudden, he burst onto the scene. So these things happen. It's so hard to just say, well, let's pass quarterback this year. Nothing's guaranteed. You have an opportunity right now, right here in 2025, to get your quarterback, and I think the Browns need to do it. Where I'm sitting on January 21st, I feel like the Browns, no matter what, need to take quarterback at number 2. You just got to do it. You got to either take Cam Ward, which I hope they can, or you got to take Shedeur Sanders, which I will be breaking down his tape and stuff, hopefully starting next week, so I can do some evaluation and breakdown and talk to you guys about what I think with Shedeur Sanders. But Cam Ward, a couple last notes here. He's definitely a strong-minded quarterback. Okay, they did an interview with him after the Miami Hurricanes lost their first game of the season against Georgia Tech. Let me pull that game up here real quick, because in the Georgia Tech game, Cam Ward was phenomenal. He was 25 of 39, 348 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, but he did fumble on the final drive, if I'm reading this correctly. Yeah, final drive, chance to win, chance to come back or whatever, and he fumbled, lost the fumble, they ended up losing the game. And he was asked after that, how he was handling the loss because of the fumble and all that kind of stuff. They point blank asked him about that. And I could see where some people would look at his response to this question and say, man, this guy just doesn't seem to care. But that's not how I took it. He said something along the lines of, every winner is going to lose at some point. There's only 2 outcomes. You either win or you lose. And then he said, tomorrow I got to get up, work out, start the same process to get ready for Wake Forest, to get ready for the next game. So for me, it wasn't that he didn't care about the loss. It was that he was already moved on. He wasn't dwelling on it. He wasn't beating himself up over it. He was not letting any of it get into his head. In his mind, the game was over. The next step was get up, work out, start prepping for the next game. And he was already in next game mode. And for me, I like that. I like the short memory for my quarterback because when you're in the NFL, especially, and you go out there and you throw an interception, or God forbid you throw a pick six, and you got to get right back on the field again to lead your offense, you better have already forgotten that just happened. You better have already put that behind you. You better already be moving on. And I do see that. I just got a thumbs up. I got to turn these stupid reactions off. Technology. Sometimes it's cool. Sometimes it's really dumb. But anyway, you have got to have a short memory because if you go out there and you start playing scared, and we see this with some people, Will Howard's a good example that I've seen a couple of times at Ohio State this year where he'll throw an interception, and then for the next couple drives, he's a little gun shy. And I did not see any of that with Cam Ward. There were times that Cam Ward went out and he'd throw an interception. And I forget which game it was. Duke. I think it was the Duke game. He threw that interception, and it was the one I was talking about where he throws it back across his body in the middle of the field. They were winning. They really just need to put a good drive together. I think it was early fourth quarter, something like that. Maybe go down and get 3 points at the worst, and they're going to maintain their lead. Well, he throws this stupid interception, and Duke ends up scoring, and I can't remember if they were tied or if they were in the lead or what it was. But then Miami comes right back out on offense, and Cam Ward hands the ball off on the first play. It's 2nd and 8. Comes back the very next play. Boom, dart, strike, touchdown. I mean, it just, that goes back to the ice in his veins, the short memory. I made a mistake. Whoop-de-doo. I don't care. I'm coming right back, and I'm playing football. The guy has a killer mentality. I will say that. I see a very killer mentality in him. The kind of killer mentality, and I keep talking about the same three people. It's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson. And I see a lot of those traits in Cam Ward. So just to kind of summarize here, and there's obviously more things I could talk about. We could talk about his season, which, I mean, he had so many games where, I mean, the Duke game, like I just talked about, 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. He did have, like I said, the one pick, but 5 touchdowns, man. And well, I want to talk about his receiver too, Xavier Restrepo, as a possible option for the Browns later on in the draft. There's just a lot of good things I saw on the tape. I'm not ignoring the bad things. I get it. I know that there's footwork things, there's mechanic things, there's some decision-making, some holding the ball too long, some dancing behind the line. Let's let NFL coaches and offensive coordinators and let's let them worry about that stuff. What I like to see, the arm angles. I will just keep mentioning it. This guy can throw from any platform he wants to, and he can do it accurately. So impressive. He knows how to throw between defenders, around defenders. He knows how to get the ball to open spots for his receivers. And again, not the biggest cannon of an arm we've ever seen. He's not an Anthony Richardson thrower as far as arm strength, but he's got an NFL caliber arm, no doubt. I don't think that's any concern whatsoever. I could just do real quick. I'll read a little bit on Draft Buzz. Ward's exceptional 2024 campaign positions him as a premier quarterback prospect, though his unexpected halftime exit from the Pop-Tarts Bowl after a stellar first half. And we'll talk about that in future episodes. I'm waiting for more information to come out about the whole bowl game thing where he played the first half and then he didn't come out and play the second half. I've read where that was the coaching game plan. Like they sat down with Cam Ward ahead of that week and said, what do you want to do? You're 3 touchdowns away from the all-time NCAA record, and I've seen some things where most guys in that situation wouldn't even play, whether it's quarterback or another position. You're probably not going to play in that game if you know you're going to the draft. He played. I heard that it was the game plan that, okay, you're going to get the first half, go get the record, and then we want to get our kid that's going to play next year for us. We want to get him some experience ahead of time. I have no idea what exactly happened. I'm sure more information will come out. I'm not jumping to conclusions, and I'm not holding anything against him. Everything I've heard about this guy and everything I've seen with my own eyes, the way he interacts with his teammates, the way they play around him, so far, I'm not concerned. And I do like that in that Pop-Tarts Bowl against Iowa State, in one half of football, 190 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was balling out. So let's see. While the circumstances of his, this thing keeps jumping around on me, absence remain unclear, his remarkable body of work, engineering multiple comebacks, breaking school records, and consistent clutch performance speaks to his potential as a franchise NFL quarterback. The development arc from FCS star to Power 5 sensation demonstrates Ward's exceptional capacity for growth and adaptation. His combination of elite arm talent, anticipation, and mobility puts him firmly in the first-round conversation. While teams will certainly explore the bowl game situation during interviews, his track record of leadership and performance under pressure throughout the season provides important context. NFL teams will find a proven playmaker worthy of first-round consideration. Ward's ability to create within structure while maintaining accuracy on off-platform throws makes him an ideal fit for the modern NFL offense. His processing speed and ability to elevate an entire offense stand out even in a strong quarterback class. The bowl game situation requires clarity, but should not overshadow a season of elite play that showcased all the tools needed to become a franchise cornerstone. And that was by Felix Green over at Draft Buzz, so thank you for that. Athletically, as far as running, mobility, that kind of stuff, he is not Lamar Jackson. He does not have that speed. He does not have those types of moves. What do I want to say? I don't want it to sound like he can't, like he's not good at it. He's not Jaden Daniels when it comes to running the ball. I'm trying to think of a better comp for him in terms of his running ability, but he's not afraid to, if he sees an open lane, he's gone. He'll take the yards that he's given. And one thing I did see a lot of in the games I watched, he slides. He does not take hits. And if he's already doing that, that's one less thing you got to teach at the next level. Because I know Jaden Daniels, that was a huge concern from scouts and analysts about Jaden Daniels going to the NFL, is this dude takes some shots when he's running the ball. And he even did still in the NFL this year. He took some hits that he probably didn't need to take, and it kind of worries a little bit about his longevity and ability to stay healthy in the league. He's had a great rookie season, obviously, but we'll see how things continue to transpire during his career. But I did like to see that Cam Ward, he gets out, he gets the yards, and he gets down. He doesn't take the unnecessary hits. He gets down, he gets up, and he plays the next play. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys have watched any tape, any games of Miami, of Cam Ward, and what you came away thinking. But where I sit today, January 21st, 2025, my opinion on Cam Ward is that this guy, he's definitely a first-round pick. Definitely first-round talent. And like I said before, if you're sitting at the top of the draft and you need a quarterback, you take him. You draft him. If you're Tennessee Titans, if I'm Tennessee Titans, I'm drafting Cam Ward. I said it before. I'll just reiterate. And if I'm the Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans take Shedeur Sanders, I am taking Cam Ward. I am 100% taking Cam Ward and believing that he is capable of learning. He's going to have to learn a new offense no matter where he goes. Okay, no matter what NFL team he goes to, it's a new offense. It's a new team. It's a new system. It's a new teammates, new surroundings, new coaches. He's going to have to learn. I have no concerns whatsoever about his ability to come into Cleveland and learn the Kevin Stefanski offense and whatever wrinkles and new modern intricacies that Tommy Rees is going to bring to it. I have no worries about him coming in and earning the the respect of his teammates and becoming a very young, early leader at the NFL level and a guy that teammates rally behind, and I could see it working out very well. I could also see it not working out. You could see it not working out with any quarterback, but like, McShay talked about with Mahomes and with Josh Allen looked like he was going to be a total bust after the first 2 years of his NFL career. But elite upside traits, stuff you can't teach. He corrected the things you can fix. Look at him now. Lamar Jackson, same thing. He has turned into such a much better passer than he used to be. He used to be, I would say, adequate passing the ball. He did well enough to get the job done, but it was all his other elite abilities that made him such a good quarterback. He fixed and corrected and worked on the passing stuff. Look at him now. Patrick Mahomes. Todd McShay he could not stop saying enough how disgusting Patrick Mahomes' footwork was. He said when he was in college, it was all hero ball. Nasty footwork, all hero ball, just chucking the ball, just doing whatever he could to make plays and all that kind of stuff. You can fix some of those things that are concerns, but the high abilities, man, they are really nice for Cam Ward. So let me know what you guys think. Enjoy talking to you here in the middle of the week. Again, we're trying to do a live show tomorrow night. If not tomorrow, I'm sure it'll be like Thursday or Friday or something, but I'm pretty sure it'll be tomorrow. And we got some Browns news and notes to talk about and some speculation and things to dive into for this week. So stay tuned for all of that. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Drop your comments wherever you're watching or listening about Cam Ward and this quarterback class in general. I will be doing more of this stuff as the offseason rolls along. I've got more time to sit down and watch other prospects and things like that, but I'm not done with Cam Ward. I've got more to watch, but I just wanted to get in here after watching about 4 or 5 games and just talk about what I saw, what I've come away with, and kind of kick off this draft prospect season because this is a ton of fun. So stay tuned. There will be more coming. We got Barry Shuck down at the Senior Bowl here in a week or 2 or whatever it's going to be. So pretty soon. And we'll be bringing you all of the takeaways from that as well. So until I talk to you guys again on the next one, let's go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order. And that code can be used over and over. So you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. Dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS.